All right, real estate exam preppers. Welcome to Ask Donaldson Show episode 6, where our goal here is to help you pass the real estate exam the first time that you take it. If you've never been a part of the show before, we're taking your questions and answering them essentially live off the top of my head, giving you answers just like an instructor would. I'm your personal coach, if you will, to get you through the license exam. So if you want to ask a question for the show, make sure to look below in the show description here on YouTube, and you'll see links on how you can ask me your question when you're preparing for the license exam. So without further ado, I'm ready to just get on with the questions today. Ryan, let's rock and roll with the first one.
What is TRID? And where did it come from?
Wonderful. This could be the Ask Everybody show. The question about TRID. You know, when you're preparing for the license exam, I know the world of real estate finance is one that can be difficult to understand. In fact, it's one of the most difficult sections on the test to understand when you're preparing, because if you have no background in finance or real estate law or any of those issues, that is an entirely new language to you. So you start seeing all these acronyms like RESPA and TILA and ECOA and TRID and fair housing, and you're like, ugh. So to keep it simple, when it comes to TRID, that is really a culmination of regulations and enforcement of regulations that have been coming down since the financial crisis in 2007 and 2008. TRID stands for the TILA, RESPA, Integrated Disclosures. So keep it really simple. TILA, RESPA, Integrated Disclosures. So what TRID essentially is the combination of enforcement of RESPA disclosures in timing, enforcement of TILA disclosures in timing, and putting them together into really one procedure. So let's break them down. RESPA, the Real Estate Settlements Procedures Act, has been around since 1974. And really, that law is all about preventing consumers from getting improper costs passed along that would unnecessarily increase the cost of closing. So things in RESPA are like what we charge for our closing services, real estate agents not getting illegal kickbacks from mortgage lenders and title companies, things of that nature, which would eventually end up increasing the cost on the consumer. TILA, the Truth in Lending Act, has been around since 1968, and that's all about informing the consumer of the true cost of obtaining credit. So what's your interest rate, what's your APR, which are different, and what's that ultimately going to cost? You know, preventing bait and switch types of scenarios where the lender tells you, here's your loan on one end, then you get your loan, and it's something drastically different. So once the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform Act was passed in 2010, one of their big charges was to take RESPA and to take TILA and to combine them together into one rule. So simply TRID, the TILA RESPA Integrated Disclosure Rule, takes the disclosures that are required, combines them into one set of disclosures, and thereby gives the regulators an easy one-step enforcement mechanism for RESPA and TILA. Let's keep it simple when you're prepared for the test. I don't think you need to know any more than that when we're thinking about TRID. All right, that was fun. People always love talking about TRID. All right, what's next?
In the mortgage world, what is the difference between a primary and secondary market?
All right, so we're just going to stick with real estate finance today, apparently, which is good. It's usually a big part of the test. Real quick, just as an aside, when you're preparing for a real estate exam, understand that part of the importance of having your real estate license and our role in the transaction is to know about all of the different pieces and parts to be able to walk the consumer through the transaction. So if you're preparing for the test and you're like, man, why am I having to study all this real estate finance stuff? This is not a mortgage license. Yeah, but think about a buyer. when the buyer comes in and they want you to be their real estate agent, they need you to guide them to the financing, from the financing, integrate it with the contracts, help them understand it. So it's always going to be a part of the test. So just remember, you're not the mortgage lender, but it's an important set of skills to know. So back to the question, the primary and the secondary market. Really, that's just understanding the U.S. banking system and understanding where mortgage money comes from. So the primary market is the direct link between the lender and the consumer. So the primary market's like the retail sector, if you will. The primary market is if I'm a potential buyer and I want to get a loan, where do I go? I go walk into the bank around the corner and I sit down with the mortgage lender and he starts running my application. That's the primary market. Or in modern times, I get on my phone and I fill out an online mortgage application. It's a direct link between me, the consumer, and the lender. That's the primary market. The secondary market is where things get a little interesting. This is where you have Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. The long and short of it is this. The secondary market is where your loans are bought and sold. It's where they're invested on Wall Street. So as an example, I'm the same consumer and I go take out that loan at my local bank. My local bank is then going to sell the loan to somebody like Fannie Mae, who's then going to package it and sell it on Wall Street to investors. So the purpose of the secondary market is really it's a difference between short investing and long investing, where the bank, once they have your loan in place, they don't want to maintain the risk that you're not going to pay it back. So they sell it at a discount to a wholesaler like Fannie Mae, who's then going to sell it to investors who are playing the long game, who are then betting that you are going to pay it off over a long period of time. So the bank is going to make less money by selling it early, and then the investor, if you, as the borrower, pay off your loan on time over 30 years, they will make money by investing in the long term. So to keep it simple for the test, the primary market is the direct link between the consumer and the lender. The secondary market is where your loans and the rights to your loans are bought and sold. Just think of Wall Street, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. That's the secondary market. Whew. All right. So we're going all real estate finance. All right. So usually at this point in the show, we're going to ask a question that I have no idea what it is, just like all the others, but it's going to be a little off the cuff. So it's going to be something not directly related to the real estate exam, maybe something more about your career as a real estate agent, so I can talk to you about, hey, once you get over that hump and you pass the test, what am I going to be doing and how's it going to work? So without further ado, Ryan, what is that question of the day?
As a new agent, first week on the job, how do I get leads?
Okay, so you're a new agent, so you work hard, you pass your test. It's my first week on the job. Now what do I do? That's a great question, and there's so many different things that I want to say. But the first thing that you want to do, the very first thing that you want to do once you have your license in place is make sure every freaking person you know knows that you're now a professional real estate agent. All of them. So the idea of sitting there and just not announcing it on Facebook, or not sending a letter to every person that you know, or a message or a postcard, I don't care what it is, but make sure that every person you know on earth that you have a relationship with now knows that you have a real estate license. That's the first thing. And then I'm going to double down on that and say, what you need to learn is that real estate is a sales business, and you need to look at yourself like an entrepreneur. You just started a business. So what's the first thing you need? Customers. How am I going to get customers? You need to collect a database, a list of people. You need to collect everybody that you know. And then you need to build that database and systematically begin to reach out to them on a regular basis. Because here's the key about our business. It's a relationship business. At the end of the day, most people do not have a real estate agent in their back pocket and they're like, I use George for everything. What it really means is when they're people that you know, when they're ready to buy or they're ready to sell, and you're the one that called them maybe 2 months ago and said, hey, I'm now in the business. Whenever you're ready, I would love to be the person that will help you. They will remember that and they will call you. But if you're the type of person that wants to be what we call a secret agent, and you get your license and then you don't want to market, you don't want to prospect, you don't want anybody to know, well then maybe you ought to just quit studying for the test right now. Because what do you think is going to happen? People are not going to be beating down your door, you have to beat down their door. And I'm talking about especially when you're new. So what's the first thing I'm going to do? I'm going to make sure every person I know knows that I have a real estate license. Then I'm going to collect all of them into a database so that I can begin to organize my marketing plan to reach out to them so that they will know Chris is the guy. When it's time to buy or sell, Chris is my guy. Oh, no. Did you stop recording? I didn't get to close the show. I didn't get to say anything.
Well, now you can.
Man, geez, this guy. All right. So anyway, thank you guys very much for watching the Ask Donaldson show. There's really only two things that we need from you as a thank you for watching the show and for the information that we give you here. Number one, below on YouTube, make sure to like it. And make sure to share it. Leave us a comment and let us know that you're watching and what you think of the show. And then the second thing, when you pass your test, let us know. Post it on our Facebook page at facebook.com/DonaldsonEducation. Post it in the comment below the video. What matters to me most, whether you went to school here or not, is that we somehow gave you that little nugget that helps you pass the test. And that's what we want to hear. Because when it comes to taking a real estate exam, you should only have to take it once. And that's our mission. Thanks for watching.